Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got another first class guest up in the building today. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody that we are live right now streaming on YouTube and on social media at Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Mar Beyond the Glass. Hope you're doing well, brother, and hope you guys are doing well as well. All right, so before we get into the guests, I just want to say really quick, I want to give a few shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Andromeda Productions, doing some great things creatively all the way in Nyack, New York. If you guys are looking for photo shoots, filming content, music performances, go ahead and check them out at Club Andromeda on all social media platforms. Shout out to Mina, shout out to Corey. Also want to give a shout out to Jersey Media out in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Same thing with them as well, high quality content. And also to Ryan Lamont at Smiley Impact. All the content creation, if you need help on your social media, any game, anything of that nature, go ahead and hit him up and he'll be happy to take care of all your needs. And let's get into it with episode 195. Can you believe it, people? 195. And I don't know about you guys, but it's now October. We're supposed to be in the middle of fall, but it feels like summer. And I don't know about you, but I think that summer weather in fall season is trash. But I just wanted to get that soliloquy out of the way. I hope you guys are enjoying the weather because I'm trying to, but we'll get there eventually. All right, but enough babbling. We're here to talk about my guests. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Erica Soto is in the building. What is going on,
What
Erica?
is up? Hello. Westchester's in the house. I know we in Jersey, but Westchester's
That's
it.
That's what I'm looking for. Somebody from Westchester.
You found somebody now. You found somebody from Westchester.
Yes. But we'll get into all that. But you're not originally from Westchester?
No,
okay.
not original. I'm a plant over there, so I'm originally from Jersey.
Okay,
so
what
I'm back
part of
home.
Jersey?
I'm from a couple parts. I grew up in Edison and then moved to Lyndhurst during my tweenie bopper years. So you could really say like I'm a North Jersey girl, like Bergen County all the way.
Okay, all right. And when did you make this dramatic move over to New York?
After having kids. So my partner was from the Bronx, and living in the Bronx was not ideal. So Westchester became our happy medium. Quiet enough for me and busy enough for him. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Good times.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, my son's 15 now, so it's been a while. It's been some time. So, it feels like a second home. I always love coming back to Jersey, but, with everything that's been happening with my business, slowly but surely it's getting harder to want to leave. Like sometimes I want to go back home, but, all the opportunity and stuff that I've been experiencing there and all the love is just like, I think I found like another place that I can feel comfortable and spread my wings.
Well, before we get into all of that, let's stick with you and your childhood. Like, did you know very early on that you wanted to be in the arts at a very early age, or was this something that just basically progressed as you got older?
Oh, yeah. I was like the kid with the coloring book at 1 year old, coloring in the lines.
Nice.
And just finishing off a book. And my mom would be like, "You're done already?" And I'm like, "Yeah, And constantly, coming home with a ton of papers and, "Mom, look what I did. Look what I did." Like, even for kindergarten, I remember making this giant chain of paper rings and showing it off as like my show and tell because I was like making something. So if it was like involving crayons or if it was involving like paper and stuff like that, I was always making a mess somehow that I called my art.
Okay. Now, what's your nationality, if you mind me asking?
So I'm Puerto Rican.
Okay, so as a Puerto Rican woman...
A Latina, yes. As a Latina, yes.
Yeah. So I certainly come from an era, and I think we're around the same age range, but we definitely come from an era where, we had families that were not from this country, and then they come to this country for opportunity and try to give their kids a better life, this, that, and the third. And more often than not, when it comes to art in general, there's a lot of that old school mentality way of thinking where, oh, I didn't come to this country so you could do this and that, whatever. Like, they want you to do the norm stuff, like be a doctor, be a lawyer, something to make something out of yourself. And that's only because in many cases, or at least I know in mine for sure, where I come from a family that was not very art inclined. A lot of them do basically whatever the basic norms is now. And I always say this, I've said this before plenty of times on my show, where I am the outlier. Like, I seem to be the only one that's doing something creative where they can't understand it. So you growing up and getting into this art thing and knowing at a very early age that this is what you wanted to do, did you experience any of that hesitance from your family?
Yeah, like it's more so maybe why I got into writing, because I felt like they took writing a little more seriously than maybe just doing art. Like you had to get a real job, go to college, get an education, and have something like real that's going to actually make you money. And then if you want to pursue something artistic, okay.
Yeah.
But she just encouraged me because she thought I was brilliant. She thought I was everything she wasn't, and she didn't understand how I had like all this like creativity and like artistic inclination, because she would just draw like stick figures. So she was encouraging, but she wasn't also like saying, hey, you can get a job doing this. She would just be like showing off what I can do, but making sure, hey, you need to go to college type of thing. And it was always like, go to school, go to school, go to school.
Education's always an important thing to the family.
Yeah. Right? And then now, as being a mom, I'm like, is college really the best thing for everybody? I don't know. I don't know about, that kind of sentiment that in these times where everything's so accessible.
Yeah.
Is college like the end all be all? And for them it was.
Right. And, you make an interesting point, because we kind of gone away from that a little bit, but I do think that an education is important in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. But I also feel like in this day and age, there's a little bit too much of the other side, meaning that I guess, for example, like one of my best friend's ex-girlfriends, she was a teacher, and she would ask her kids what did they want to do when they want to grow up. And the majority of them were saying something along the lines like they want to be a YouTube content creator, this, that, and the third. Something that doesn't require an education per se. Now, that's fine. I'm not one to shit on anybody's dreams and ambitions, but at the same time, it just seems you kind of get an understanding of where this generation is headed, this new generation, and we end up being a little skeptical, just like our parents were. It's like a full circle in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I have a Gen Zer and a Gen Alpha. Mm-hmm. So we got an iPad kid who's much younger, and a Gen Zer who's like, I'm a millennial mom, so he's very much in that same bracket of I'm going to be a content creator, and me being a creative person, I'm like, you know what that means, right? Yeah. You have to be good at writing, you have to be good at communicating, you actually have something to say that people want to hear, you have to know your audience, and that all involves some kind of art skill, some kind of writing skill, some kind of, media training, and you can do it, but it's not going to be easy, and I've seen it done, and I'm trying to do it myself. So, like, make a decision, say, yes, this is what you want to do, and then let's go for it. But the hard part is making the decision. Like I said, you have to try a little bit of everything in the world before you really decide, what do I like? What's like a lifestyle I want? Where do I see myself in the future? Because you could be a starving artist, but be happy because you're creating. Or you could have a, multi-million-dollar job, and you live in a mansion, and you go on all these trips, and what kind of life do you want to live? And that's what I talk to them about all the time. And then my iPad kid wants to be an animator because she's on Procreate all day, and she's just create, and has like no desire to do like any kind of YouTube and that kind of thing. So It's like you kind of get these young perspectives, and I work with the youth a lot, and you kind of see how it's kind of turned away from the way that we kind of grew up, where it was like very instilling education, and that you can't get ahead without it type of feeling.
Yeah. Now, when you started to write, what did you start writing about? Were they just your thoughts on paper, or were you actually creating stories and narratives?
Anything and everything. I was such an emotional kid, as I got older, I realized I was very nonverbal. Like for cards, I would write, beautiful letters and birthday cards and talking about my feelings, and then it would be journaling, and then it would turn into poetry, and then it turned into observations of the world, and just being observant and trying to seek understanding and beauty in things, because I felt so overwhelmed with like kind of that, melancholy or sadness growing up, being a, Latina in a majority white neighborhood, and then being a little bit on the bigger side too. You have all these kind of tropes that happen as a child growing up, and kind of feeling like the odd man out or being the creative one when everybody else is like playing sports. And it was like trying to seek understanding within myself and with my peers. So it's like a lot of that was what my writing was about.
Now, were you comfortable pretty early on about sharing your art, or were you one of those reserved types at first?
Oh, yeah. No, I was a show-off. I was like, look what I can do. Look what I can do. A way to garner attention, positive attention, a way to seek validity, a way to say, hey, listen to me, because I want to be someone. I want to feel seen. I want to feel heard. And maybe my mom did the best that she could, but I felt like I needed more. I needed a guidance. I needed, there was still something else out there that I was like craving.
What made you feel that you needed validity in that sense?
Because they were so different, so they would kind of like side eye, like, oh, there's Erica again, making something or painting something, or, it wasn't what they enjoyed doing.
Mm-hmm.
They like to travel, they like to, go out and shop and that kind of thing. And I was like, I'll stay home, I'll paint something, I'll write in my journal. Like, I was content by myself. And they were like, oh, you don't want to go out? And I would go out, but I wouldn't be like, needing to be out and about.
Right.
So they were like finding it hard to understand me a little bit.
I get where you come from because as a kid, I was pretty introverted myself, even in my teens. I didn't really go out and so on and so forth. And, my mom, sometimes she would just, out of the blue, she would say things like, Jay, you don't ever think about, like, taking any, like, any classes? Like, you don't like art, you don't like sports, you don't want to do anything. You're just always home and just, like, not doing anything. You don't want to socialize. You don't want to be in any clubs or groups or anything. I'm like, I haven't really thought much about it. And I guess I was just content in my own skin and happy with where I was. And it was also, and I don't think they realized this, but it was also my way of decompressing. I mean, school was already hard enough as it was, and we were taking on what's going on in the real world and also trying to figure out what the hell we want to do and what we're all about.
Yep.
And I think in some ways I was also pretty nonverbal about it as well because I didn't know how to talk about it. It's something that I still kind of struggle to this day where I don't know how to always contextualize or verbalize my thoughts.
Yeah, finding your voice is hard, yeah.
Right, because I just don't feel like everybody's going to understand where you're coming from, even though, you're trying your best to, project and everything. So, and I think that's one of the beauties about art in general. Like I guess like with you, it's been like easels and colors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Me, it's been a microphone and a camera.
I love making a mess.
Yeah, but it's all about finding your instruments, and these two instruments happen to be mine while you have yours.
And everything is like, art is so like wide. Like you can literally make anything into a form of art. It could be words, it could be a mic, it could be, anything can be your paintbrush, and you just have to.
It doesn't have to be necessarily into one thing. I mean, not only am I doing this, but I'm also an actor as well. So it's like, I just try not to keep myself in a box. Like, I just don't want to say like, oh, I'm just podcasting and that's it. I ain't doing diddly squat else.
Yeah, and it was like too, growing up a lot of times with that college mindset, I like forced myself out of my comfort zone. So like I would do stats for like a football game, or I would try to join like track and do throwing, or because you needed it for college. So you have this creative part of you seeking understanding, and then then you're trying to still fit in the real world.
Yeah.
And I feel like once I became a mom, I was only focused on being a mom, and then finally when they became more independent, that's when I was like, okay, now's my chance.
Yeah.
So it seems like real life takes precedence first, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on a creative path.
Right. No, and to contextualize even more, like piggyback on what you're saying, is like another example I'll give you is I'm a huge sports fanatic. Like I love sports, but that wasn't always the case when I was young. Like I love the Yankees growing up and everything, but I wasn't deep into my sports teams as I am now. Like I listen and watch a lot of sports content and this, that, and the third. And I remember I was hanging with my brother and my father, God rest his soul, and I was just, spitting all of the sports knowledge that was not anywhere to be found when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, whatever you. And then my brother goes to my dad and he's like, damn, remember when Jay never used to talk about this shit? Like, what the hell happened? And,
like, who are you?
Right,
like, and now you're an encyclopedia. What happened?
Right, and I think if everything is hindsight 2020. I think what it was is that I guess I was kind of rebelling against it because I feel like it was being forced on me in some way, shape, or form when I was younger.
Oh, you're a rebel.
So I guess I had to find my love of sports on my own, not being forced upon me because my brother liked it, or because my uncle liked it, or because my cousins liked it,
or society tells you that's what's the norm. Yeah.
So I had to find that out of my own, and now I'm a fucking, not an encyclopedia, but I mean, shit.
You're passionate. You have a passion for it.
And I'll even take this time to promote the sports podcast. Shout out to the 2 a.m. crew with Rick H. Every Tuesday night at 8:30, nonstop New York sports talk. If you want to hear me talk about the Yankees, Jets, and Knicks and Devils, or if you want to hear Rick talk about the Mets, Giants, Knicks, and Rangers, be sure to check us out on YouTube at Listener Network. I'm sorry, Megaphone Network. I apologize. And just check us out every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Me and Rick, nonstop sports talk. You don't want to miss it. Yes, indeed.
What a segue.
Thank you. It always comes back full circle.
Love it.
Yeah. So And also, you know what? Let me also say that I feel like such an asshole because last episode I shouted out a bunch of people, but I didn't shout out Rick, who has been instrumental in the whole sports thing. So I
Bendito.
apologize, and I want to give a shout out to you, Rick. Congratulations on you and the family with the newborn and so on and so forth. And we'll be back next week, baby. You already know.
Yeah, 'cause now I might tune in for you, Rick.
Touche. All right. But yeah, so getting back to what we were talking about, it's just all about finding yourself. And once you realize that moment, a lot of people don't get to realize it, but when they do, it is fucking awesome.
It's true. And that's why I kind of love what I do too, because it's a sense of impacting people through art. So yeah, I could create. I could sit in a room, I could paint a painting, but you know what? My gift is not just for me. It's for the experience that I can give others. So I'm a teaching artist and I try my best to get people to be creative and empower them to be creative because seeing that is a lot more fulfilling than just, sitting in a room and painting. Anybody can do that. But seeing somebody else do something they thought they never could before, there's power to that.
Is this what you studied in college?
No.
Okay.
I just decided one day to get a therapeutic art life coach license. So, part of life coaching, you can get certified online. Shout out to Udemy. I'm a school, you have to become resourceful. So when I was a mom, I didn't finish college. Life happened. And
I'm a college dropout.
Yeah. So it's like, you got to do what you got to do. And I took a bunch of resources, YouTube University, went on Udemy, life experience, job experience. I literally did every job that you possibly could: security, retail, working at a bouncy house place, doing party planning, doing, admin work. Taking all those skill sets actually allowed that for me to create a business. And then getting that certification as therapeutic art life coach really leveled up what I could do with my artistic gift and get into like the corporate wellness space and then host events and host different kinds of creative events and combine all my skills into something that's actually profitable, tangible, something that I like to do, flexible, all the things that I needed. And it all stemmed from the belief that I could. Getting that person in your life or that reason in your life saying, oh, you do what? Like, why are you not doing anything with it? Why aren't you going for something bigger, greater, grander? And just someone planting that little seed. And that's kind of what I try to do with the classes, just plant a little seed in somebody and leave somebody a little bit better than where I found them.
So, but when you were in college, what was your contingency, even though it didn't work out?
I went to college with the intent of being a writer. Like I said, being a writer was like a little bit more serious. So like journalism, writing for a magazine. I was really into music. So I was thinking like a music magazine. So I was thinking that I could like literally make a living.
The Source or something like that?
Yeah, something like The Source or, Entertainment Weekly or something pop culture-y, something. There were so many magazines. I was always in Barnes & Noble.
Shout out to Entertainment Weekly because that was my foray into the Hollywood aspect. I didn't know much about the industry until it's weird because you remember these infomercials where like if you signed up for this magazine subscription, you'll get like the CD set of music that from all the greatest hits or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a specific album that they were promoting and it had a whole bunch of songs in there that I love. Like I want that CD, but in order to get it, I had to subscribe to Entertainment Weekly. So I did. Pissed off my mom because she had to give her credit card information and stuff. But I started reading it. I'll never forget the first magazine I had on the cover. It was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck because they had just come out with Good Will Hunting.
That was a good.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
That's a good era. That's a good era to have Entertainment Weekly.
Right. Yeah. So I got to learn everything about a little bit about the business and what goes on in Hollywood and stuff, and I was just enamored by it. And I said,
it was always Entertainment Weekly, Spin, Rolling Stone, like all those kind of pop culture-y kind of things.
Except for Vibe. Vibe was always the.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of funny that you say that. We just had Yonkers Comic Con, and one of the artists was one of the artists that did like all those crazy caricatures of like Biggie and Tupac and all that. So that was like a cool experience, like of how far the creative world can take you. You can have these little moments of, oh, I remember when I used to read these magazines growing up, and now I'm meeting, a person that helped create it. So stuff like that during college was like definitely exciting to me and acceptable to my mom. So, but then having kids and then everything went to shit.
Right.
You know.
So now you're basically an adult and you're adulting in life and so on and so forth. And where did this is pretty interesting. A therapeutic art workshops. What is that about? Like how do you mix art and therapy within a workshop?
Sure. So it's really just being like a coach and encouraging people. Like there's something that I say before every class. I make sure that everybody raises their hand and says, I promise not to judge my painting or my neighbor's painting until the end of class. And then everybody starts laughing because, you know, everybody's so hard on themselves when they're doing something new, trying something new. They kind of give up, and I teach step by step. So they're literally drawing the picture, painting the picture, and it was like one of those things like, thank you so much. Once they were done with it, they couldn't believe what they created. It looked what I initially showed them. It looked like the inspiration, and they were like, wow, I never thought that I could do this. So it was like one of those things during COVID that everybody was like seeking wellness, and it was started off with like an online class to do that. And then I wound up getting a grant to do like more in-person stuff.
Gotcha.
So, you know, that's kind of how it segued into like creative events.
And how long have you been doing it now?
So, yeah, since COVID, it's like about 5 years. Being home during that period and feeling really low in terms of like, you know, that reflection that everybody had, like tomorrow's not promised for anybody. What are you going to do with this one little life? And then I was like, enough is enough. I have to do something with these gifts and give it my all and see how it could play out. And then I had a mentor that she was like, yeah, you need to do this. You need to sign up for this. You need to go to this website. You need to get this grant. You need to take on these classes. And she literally held my hand through the whole process. And then it's been one thing after another since.
How do you navigate staying true to your art form while also understanding that you have a business to run? Because sometimes those two can concurrently mixed, and for depending on who the person is, it could be a complete success or it can go kaput.
Well, thank God for the experiences that I had growing up trying to survive and make a living just by getting a paycheck. Because knowing how to work as an admin and in a business helping someone else run it gave me like the stepping stones of how to have everything kind of come together. So having a creative hat and having that business-minded hat really played well with one another. Like not everybody who's creative can take on doing paperwork and, you know, having that skill set to make their business work because they just want to sit in the room and create all day. Like I don't want to worry about the accounting part. I don't worry about social media or advertising. So because I helped someone else run their business, I was then able to see things for myself and kind of see a way that it could happen. And then having that creative part, I've always had it. So it was just easy to tap into it when I needed it.
You know, one of the things that is kind of intriguing to me, for lack of a better term, when it comes to art is it's something that a lot of people are doing, and it could be in different avenues, and it could be beautiful, it could be communal, and it could really bring a lot of people together. But at the same time, those same people that are actually doing the work and doing the art are the ones that have that competitive nature, and it seems like they're always at each other's throats. How is it that we're able to coexist with each other when we're always at each other's throats while also trying to make the world a better place?
Well, it just depends on the person, really. Like for me, I don't seek competition as others. And if I do see someone doing something that is quote unquote better than me, I serve it as inspiration. Like, wow, look at what they're able to do with their art. Look at where it takes them. You know, serve it as like an inspiration. Not everybody's like that. But it's like when you start pitting one another over creativity, it just doesn't make sense in my eyes. It's like, you know, I'm here to expand and become abundant in my life. So to like attack someone else or be at somebody else's throat or be at odds because I'm in competition with them. Like there's people doing paint and sips everywhere, but you know, not everybody has my style, my personality, my way of teaching, my understanding. So it's like when you're confident in what you can do, what anybody else does, really, you don't pay attention to it.
You know, artists are pretty progressive for the most part, but how difficult can it be sometimes, a person of your caliber, meaning a woman and a Latina woman at that, able to navigate and go through the trials and tribulations of which is pretty much still a male dominated industry and
Oh,
world.
I got audacity, honey. I'm fearless. Anything can be mine if I wanted to. Like I have that idea that I am limitless. The only person that stops me from going ahead is me. So it's like once you have that mindset that anything is attainable, you're unstoppable. No matter if you're a male in front of me, a female in front of me, a corporate in front of me. If I decide in my head, I'm going to do something, better watch out, like watch me kind of sentiment. So while it is like a male dominated space, as a Latina, I find common ground with everybody that comes from a big family, anybody that comes from cultural roots, anybody that is proud of where they come from. I seek understanding from people, and that's kind of how I charm my way through these trials and tribulations. And if the opportunity doesn't happen easily, then the opportunity was never for me. So whatever is meant for me, I fully believe will not pass me. So it's like, if a roadblock gets pulled up, guess gotta go find a way around it. Like there's nothing that's gonna stop me once I put my mind to something. And if I find pushback or it's not as easy, then I take a step back and I like kind of recalibrate. But honestly, anything's possible.
My generation would call that big dick energy.
I'm big girl energy. I call that gordacity. Like this gorda got it all played out. Watch and learn. Watch and see. Wait and see. All the above. Like you can't tell me nothing. Like if you told me 5 years ago that I'd be assisting 2 artists in creating Yonkers Comic Con and having over 4,000 people attend, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that happening. Just because I don't restrict myself. Any opportunity that comes my way, I'm open to it. And if it's, something that comes easily, then why not jump at the chance,
Yeah.
No fear, because there's no failure. It's just lessons learned to get to the next level. Like if you're not okay with learning, that's the problem with a lot of people, is that they don't want to get caught out there doing something wrong. And it's like, so what? So what? You saw me trip. Whoops. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Big deal. It's just how you talk to yourself, how you kind of gauge your belief in yourself.
Right.
And that's when being empowered or empowering others is important, because a lot of people don't realize everything lies within you.
Now, you're Puerto Rican, you said, right?
Si, senor.
Okay, so my question to you is, do you identify yourself more as a Hispanic artist or an artist that just happens to be Hispanic?
Oh, I'm an artist that happens to be Hispanic.
Okay.
Puerto Ricans come in all colors, shapes, and sizes, as well as art. Like, while I try to add elements of my cultural roots, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So, because I'm trailblazing because I am Puerto Rican, I'm not trailblazing because I have to create Puerto Rican art, or I'm in a Puerto Rican style, or I'm representing Puerto Rican culture. I am the culture. When I go to seek understanding with others, how I present myself, how I share my stories, how I use my art, how I, interact with the world. That's what a Puerto Rican does, It's not a stereotype. It's just an understanding, like, there's no certain way that a Puerto Rican looks like, acts like, talks like I'm not a walking plate of arroz con gandules. Like, it's just, and a lot of times people are like, oh, she's passing. That's a white girl because of the way I talk or the way I present myself or the type of work that I do. And it's like, no, watch me cook, watch me dance. Like, my culture is ingrained, and it can only get better with the more understanding and more learning. And that is one of the goals of my platforms, is seeking more about my culture and where I come from, because I feel like if you don't know where you come from, how can you enter into the world and know where you can head or know where you're going or navigate to a better space?
Right.
So, yeah, being Latina too just gives me so much flavor, like a lot of times, personalities can seem bland or unappealing, and just having that cultural, anybody that's has a deep involvement in their culture, it just adds something to who they are and just builds their character up so much more than someone that doesn't care.
Now, I don't want to focus too much on this particular subject, but I just want to get you 2 cents on it really quick.
Sure.
With everything that is going on in this world, based on politics and so on and so forth, and, it seems like even Puerto Rico is under attack in some ways. I mean, look what's going on with the Super Bowl and everything.
Yeah.
So you being a mother and you being a Hispanic and all of that under the sun, how are you using this to navigate your world and try to make your world and the rest of the world a better place with your art and with also your culture?
I think it's just in the way that I step into it. Like, I was always the kid that if I went to the lunchroom, I had friends at every table. And I feel like
There's
that's
popularity over here, huh?
not even that I was popular, but I could have somebody, one of the less cooler girls I could
Gotcha.
have a conversation with, or, one of the Spanish kids that just came off the boat and they're just new, I could have a conversation in Spanish. Like, there's understanding within anybody. I did the stats for the sports team, so I could talk to the jocks and joke with them. Like, everybody should seek to understand. Like, we used to have cultural days that everybody used to bring in their dish and, everyone would enjoy. And, I had best friends who were Polish and best friends who were Italian growing up. So, their mom was like my mom. I don't understand this whole idea of separateness. And,
A division,
a division of, us versus them. Like, we didn't grow up that way. I felt like, if anything, the 90s generation was that everybody was in it together. Like, the Magic School Bus had one of every color. Like, Captain Planet had one of every color,
Power Rangers.
One of every color, exactly. And when they came together, you got a Megazord. Like, you can't be any more powerful than, being separate. You have to do things together. And this idea that we are separate is foreign to me. So it's like telling the kids, that's not really true, that, this country was based on immigrants and immigration. And a lot of times I'm sitting here and I'm like, my friends who had immigrant grandparents, we're Puerto Rican. Like, technically, we've been around longer, but they'll still look at you and be like, you're an outsider. Or, they still don't understand that Puerto Ricans are American citizens. And it's like, you see, I have Peruvian friends now and Dominican friends, and you see them in like sheer terror that they can't even enjoy their life because they have this looming fear of someone from the outside coming for them. And I'm like, that's homegrown terrorism to me. Right. Like, when you can't even feel comfortable in your community to come to an event, because I host events. So imagine a Hispanic Heritage Month event, and you have this worry that someone's going to be waiting for them outside. Like, how can you seek joy and understanding if that's how the country's operating now? So it's like really important that you are involved and are in communication with people in your community and talking to your senators and having their phone numbers and reaching out and doing what you can. Like, I personally can only change what I can touch. And if I can touch these people's lives, then I'm making my mark in the world and being the change I wish to see. And if you're just sitting back and waiting for someone else to take over, then you can't complain.
So I actually just celebrated my 4th year anniversary of the show of this first class.
Congratulations!
I did mention on the previous episode that I released my first episode on September 30th, 2021, and unbeknownst to me at the time, it was National Podcast Day, and that's when I took it as a sign that
serendipity.
Yeah, I took it as a sign, like, that was my aha moment. Like, all right, now I know I should be doing this. When it comes to you, was there ever that aha moment or anything that was serendipitous in you doing your work and you just hit that moment, you're like, okay, now I know I'm supposed to be doing this?
Wow. Okay, so I do corporate wellness for city employees. There's over 350,000 in New York City. So they'll book me for a class and I'll come in. So when I started in 2020, we did online stuff. I really didn't go in person. And then come to today, I do classes in person. And one lady saw me at a class and she's like, wait a minute, are you Erica? And I'm like, yeah, I used to do classes online. She's like, can I show you something? And I scrolled through at least 50 pictures of her creating paint pour art. She said, you sparked something within me that encouraged me to create and now my work is in a gallery. And I said, wow, if I never would have met this person, if I never would have poured my gift into someone else, she would not have this experience, this life experience, this joy. And it was like the sign that I needed, that I'm meant to do what I have to do because someone else needs what I have to give.
As artists, we tend to always have those moments where things can be very overwhelming and it just doesn't seem we're not able to get a break. Was at any point in any time in your life and your career,
Oh,
where
I'm
you
overwhelmed right now.
but was there ever a moment where you like, am I really doing this right? Am I really supposed to be doing? Was there any like doubt in your mind
Oh
that
yeah,
seeped in the back
that
of your head?
self-doubt, it's around every corner because you know what? Sometimes when you're with a gift, things seem too easy. Like if you're talented at what you do, it feels almost too good to be true. Like, wait a minute. Someone's paying me to paint a picture? Like, are you serious right now? Like an event I could earn like $500 working a 2-hour event. Like that's more than most lawyers. Like you start thinking that someone's going to take this away from you because it's almost too good to be true. So I can understand like that self-doubt, or even sometimes that realization of like, why me? You know, what's so special about me? I'm not really that good. But you know, when you have those moments when someone's showing you actual pictures of them spending their own time doing art and stuff, then you're like, oh wow, yeah, you know what? I do have something worth giving.
Hmm.
And that type of feeling is like unmatched, really.
Yeah. So another thing, because you have your feet dabble into a whole bunch of other things now. One
The
of
hustle is real,
the
yeah.
hustle is real, yes, absolutely. And this is something that I know of, but I don't know fully. Like I've never had this experience per se, but I also know that you are very much involved in the Yonkers Comic Con convention.
Yes, correct. So creative events, I've been calling this, just having myself involved in creative events. And it's really just networking with other artists
But
and
by the way, I should say just Comic Con. I don't know why I put down Comic Con convention. That's the same shit. So I got to correct myself
Comic
on
Con
that. Yes.
convention. That's okay because it used to be known as the Yonkers Cosplay and Comic Book Convention, and then they
Gotcha.
just shortened it down to Yonkers Comic Con.
I had
But
no idea what cosplay was until a little while ago. That's how stupid my brain is sometimes. You know?
you didn't put two together,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
well, I didn't know what cosplay meant. It just means costume
Right.
play.
No.
Till I
Again,
actually was like hosting a Comic Con with them, so it's
again,
okay.
my perverted mind goes somewhere darker in the gutter. But
As
I'm
most
glad
gamers sometimes do.
And I'm not even a gamer. The last time I played a game was Def Jam Fight for New York in 2005, nearly 20 years ago.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I played Tetris, but I at least know about games on PS.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe if I had kids, which I don't, maybe I would have a little sense of what's going on, but I don't. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but Yonkers Comic Con was just like a once in like talk about serendipity. It's like literally when you meet the right people and the opportunity presents itself and you have a skill set and you tell yourself, hey, yeah, of course I can do it. I can make phone calls. I can, gather people together. I can do research on Instagram. I can do talent outreach. I can do social media. I do all that already. So why not try to bring something to community? And then they give you the opportunity. And, you know, even though it was like my first time doing it, I just went for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like really going with resources, trying to be resourceful, trying to network, a lot of like Instagram cold calling, cold messaging, and it got done. So the second year was a little bit more successful than the first year, and then this year a little bit more successful than the year before, and it just keeps growing. And it's like, you don't know what can happen until you kind of start in the business. And a lot of times that's like a lot of the fear, like starting. But you can't get to a Comic Con if you've never painted your first picture, if you never, made that call to try something new and like get a grant. Like it all starts with that first step.
Yeah.
And that's like, with anything in life, like you got to just take that leap of faith and just jump.
Right. It's also fascinating that how generations change, excuse me. And what I mean by that is like now if you go to like a Comic-Con, that's like one of the coolest things that anybody can do because you're being surrounded around a culture that is that is just extravagant and it's so much fun. Whereas there was a time when I grew up where if you liked any of these comic book characters or these anime characters or anything of that nature, then you were a dork, you were a nerd, you
Yeah,
were
nerd
soft, you were
culture.
weak, you were bully's bait, all that stuff. And sometimes I feel like I grew up in the wrong era because I liked some of this stuff, but I never admitted it because I was afraid I was gonna get called a nerd or get my ass kicked, or maybe that girl that I had a crush on would say, "No, I'm good." So, but it's shifted now. Now you have prom kings and queens that are diehard fans of anime, and they're the coolest people on earth.
They really are. And I think it's just attributed to like the availability of it too, like having it so accessible and more mainstream. Like I think what really changed it all was the iPod. Like having an iPod with all the different kind of songs from all the different bands
Yeah.
all together individually of only the things that you like, and then it progressing to then having a mixtape to a mix CD, then to progressing to having YouTube and only the things that you like in the same space, and then if you're a gamer and having Twitch and then all the things that you like in the same space.
Yeah.
And it's like the availability, the internet creating that availability, it changed the taste of the world. So it's not as separate as like going to a Tower Records and this is the R&B section, this is the rap section.
Yeah.
Everything is free for all.
That's such a great point, and I never thought of it that way, but that is so eloquently put. And it takes me back to a time where I grew up on hip hop. That's like my number one genre. I love it. But there were times back then where I admit, like, yo, I'm kind of digging this Backstreet Boys song. This shit's kind of hot, but I can't tell people, or else they're gonna think I'm gay or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just that I grew up in that toxic
Perception,
masculinity.
yeah, perception was everything back then.
Right,
The street cred, the street cred.
The toxicity back then was just so overwhelming, and I had to prove my worth. And now I don't even have to worry about that stuff if I was in that age again. You know?
Yeah, and it's just a different world. Like I said, like my little iPad girl, love her so dearly. She literally has her.
So funny how you call her iPad girl.
Yeah, my little Sophie. She has her fingertips at anything and everything, and her favorite band now is the Gorillaz. Like. Because she heard a song from Trolls, and then she went down the rabbit hole of listening to the Gorillaz, and the Gorillaz came out like when I was a teenager. So, like, I just love the idea that anything goes because the access is available, and that she can enjoy something that I enjoyed in my youth, and it seems new and fresh to her, but it's really like 20 plus years old. So, it's like stuff like that. Like, that's why living in the now times, and even with AI coming up, like, there's so much access.
Okay, so you actually are in the express lane right now because you beat me to my next question. How much of a threat do you think AI is when it comes to people being creative now? Because I feel like it's going to dumb down society even more than we already know it as. That's me personally.
I had this conversation a lot now because I'm so excited about AI, and as other artists hear that, they can't understand why, because it is a threat. It's a threat because it's copying other artists' work. But as a creative person, anything that I use AI for amplifies my creativity. So I have now 2, 3, 4, 5 of me in one space with different ideas, different projects, different, ways of using it. Like I feel like the way of the future is going to be a field of just a person having an originality to themselves. So if you're good at being creative and being original and creating prompts, people are going to seek out learning how to be creative. And that's going to be the new niche. Because if you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to be original, you don't know how to be creative and problem solve, AI is going to take your job, is going to take your opportunity, and it's going to, leave you with without access. So like it's like almost like a teaching artist, but you're teaching creativity. That's going to be like the new wave of what's happening with art. So while I don't agree that they're using sampled art to create, I personally use AI to visualize because I need a reference picture to create my art. Like I can copy what I see, but I can also have a reference picture created through AI that creates what I want to create. I don't have that picture in my mind that I can copy from my mind.
Yeah.
Especially for like a commission or practical reasons, mural reasons. But I feel like AI is going to, really be the difference between, like, you could almost build such a huge brand being individual by using AI. So I feel like big corporate entities, big brand names slowly are becoming less needing of a team and more like you could build your own brand by yourself. You can be your own social media person. You can, you know, create your own logos, create your own style, create your own product. And people are doing it on TikTok every day, doing TikTok lives. And you see these people becoming millionaires because they use these tools to their advantage, whether it's making money or, selling a product or just being affiliate marketers and all that fun stuff. And that's because there's something helping them. So it's like all these huge big name brand businesses, you wouldn't have access to these people who ship product. You don't have access to people who like can make things for you. There's so much easy access to those distributors now that everybody is in it for themselves. And you don't need a big name to do something big. You could just do it by yourself. So it's the age of entrepreneurship kind of thing. And that's how I feel like I am with this business, that I do literally everything.
Yeah.
I don't outsource anything.
Yeah, it was just a thought that crossed my mind because I also am a user of AI. I mean, I use ChatGPT and so on and so forth, but I use it more like a tool.
Yeah.
Where I feel like people use it as a religion. To me, it's almost like astrology. Like where people, I use it, I don't know the ins and outs about it. I know about my sign and so on and so forth, but I've only really used it as a tool to navigate my personality and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Where I know people that they treat it like it's a religion, like it's a church that they go to every single day.
It's also not factual.
Yeah, like there's some people that'll be talking about like, my moon is in Venus or something like that. Like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, I'm already annoyed at the fact
I'm a
that
child of Huerta el Mercado, but I don't follow astrology at all because I'm too smart for that. Like,
wow,
like,
drop a bomb on that one.
like I used to watch Primer Impacto and watch my grandma see like the chupacabra on the TV, and UFOs and aliens is like a thing, But like, while I believe a little bit of all of that could be true or possible, because I believe anything is possible, it's also not something I bring into my everyday. So if you're talking about like astrology or my moon signs and my numerology, like that's not my thing. That's okay if it's your thing, but it's like that's not real to me.
One of the things when you were mentioning about with your kids, and you mentioned iPad girl,
My little choo-choo bear.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that you are a mother who absolutely supports your children's dreams and doesn't want to like belittle them or anything like that, because I don't know why this came into thought, but you talking about your children and how you're supportive of their endeavors and so on and so forth, it kind of takes me back to like a scenario where I feel like if I was a kid or a teenager in this day and age, and I had an iPad and I wasn't doing too well in school or something that my parents didn't approve of, no lie, because this is like where toxic masculinity can come into play. I could picture vividly a scenario where my father would have just taken the iPad and then smashed it on the wall just so that I won't use it again, so I could focus
No
more on it.
chancleta, just straight to the wall.
When the chocolate didn't work, that was the
Yeah,
next
there
one.
you go. That's the next one. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's true. Like, it is a bargaining chip a lot of times for behavior, because it is so dopamine like inherent. Like they will get addicted. They are inherently addicted to it. You do have to limit it. But it's the reason why she's a hyperlexic reader. She's in 5th grade and she reads at an 8th grade reading level, and her other studies are almost as good as that. So there are benefits to like having the technology there for them, because that's what the world that they're going into. It's like technology driven and all that fun stuff. But then it becomes like, how do you navigate their social, and how do you navigate their mood swings, and how do you navigate them being able to socialize in a public setting, or do they get overwhelmed in a public setting? And a lot of times, even with the work that I do with teenagers, isolation and loneliness are now like the new things popping up for this generation. They don't know how to connect with one another. And that's why art is important, and important for me to teach them, like, hey, life is not about just sitting on your iPad all day. Yeah. Like, you got to go outside, because we were outside kids. I'd be running the streets in a bike, till the sun came down, and they don't know that life.
Do you feel very fortunate that you were just on the cusp where you got to experience both generations?
Oh
Essentially?
yeah. Oh, I had a golden childhood that it literally was like.
Even in the Bronx?
Well, I grew up in Forts, mind you.
Oh, okay, okay,
So yeah.
okay.
So
That's Bronx adjacent.
yeah. Forts was a very interesting town because we were like really young and really independent. Like a lot of the kids in Japan that they're like independent and go to the store at like 4 and 5 and they buy their own things. Like we did that too. Like we would go to Quick Check, grab mommy a pack of cigarettes. That was a big no. Get cold cuts on the weekend. Do a little grocery shopping or go to the corner store on our bikes. And we were like 5, 6 years old. So I didn't let my son go to the corner store across the street till he was like 10, and I'm watching him through the window. It's just a different world, and it's like my friends are like, "Oh, well, if you get him a cell phone, then you can kind of watch what he's doing." I was like, "Yeah, but he was too young for a cell phone at the time," and it's like, so it's just like such a different dynamic, and I'm like, I only wish that I could give them a piece of the type of kid I was, that you could run the free world, like literally 6 miles out on our bike, and it's a gang of like 5 or 6 of us, and we'd be playing wall ball at some random park, or just the freedom, the idea of that trust and freedom. And maybe we got into trouble sometimes, but nothing so bad that any of the parents would ever realize. To this day I have a couple secrets that, mommy, I'm sorry. My bad.
Will she be watching this?
I may have done a little stroll to Union City, Jersey City back in the day.
Will she be watching this?
No, she's knocked out. She's sleeping.
No, I mean not right this second.
No, eventually. No. That woman, she's hilarious. She's lounging about, scrolling TikTok. That's another thing too, like the older generation, the Temu grandmas, because y'all know the Temu grandmas.
No.
That they'll be buying all the chucheria to be putting, and you see like a new gadget every week. I'm like, mommy, why did you buy this? She's like, look, it like scrapes the stuff off the potato. I'm like, mommy, where'd you get this from?
Oh my
She's
God.
like, Temu was 37 cents. With no shipping. I'm like, okay.
Okay, yeah, all right. That's how they get you. Got to read the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's funny you mention that because my mother is actually a member of TikTok now, which is interesting because she's never had MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, any of those social media. She just happened to get on TikTok one day. Now, she doesn't post anything. She doesn't post anything. She doesn't even have a face and an avatar. Her avatar is just that basic ass TikTok animal, whatever the fuck that is.
User 5, 6,
yeah,
7,
something like that.
23.
I mean, I know it's her because it says like Margarita Cervantes -547 or some shit like that. But no, it's
gotta love our mommies, right?
yeah. Oh my God. When my father actually discovered Facebook and Instagram, I was a little worried. Well, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But when he did have it, I was like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna keep tabs on me like nobody's business."
God rest his soul. Oh my goodness, yeah. Facebook was okay. She managed Facebook okay, but it's the TikTok scrolling where it's like the little animals that have a voice, and then she'll just be watching it on blast. It's literally like having another iPad kid at this point. She's like, "Mommy, you gotta get off that." She's just dopamine seeking with that scrolling.
I told my mom, listen, I don't think social media, let alone TikTok, is good for you because you are a good conservative Christian woman, and you're already oblivious to how shitty the world is already. So.
No place for a TikToker.
Exactly.
No.
But she likes to subscribe, so thank you for that at least. Yeah. All right. So
good for the numbers, mommy. Thank you.
Yeah. Just keep on pumping the numbers. That's all I need
yes.
you for. Yes. All right. So what's next? I mean, you have everything coming up. I mean, I can't keep track of everything that you have, but what are some of the things that you got, at least within this calendar year, that you're working on?
Sure. So making a lot of connections, hoping to work alongside an amazing filmmaker. His name is Brian, and he's working on doing a film festival in Mount Vernon. Brian Ribeiro.
Okay.
And so he's reviving the Mount Vernon Independent Film Festival. So he's looking for some assistance with that, and I'm glad to jump on board with it because I'm just keeping myself in the realm of creative events. So I always host like paint and sip events, doing like a tea party or a fall ball, or we're going to be doing a Vejigante mask one, collaborating with the Boricuaverse that was at the Comic-Con, and just all kinds of fun stuff. If I find it interesting or fun, I'm going to try to bring it to the people and, anything's possible. So it could be between a film festival, Yonkers Comic Con. The planning starts now for next year. So lots of things going on, all creative event based. And then, you could always book a private event if you want to dream up something big. You just holler at me and we make it happen.
Yeah. One more question before we get into my final segment. To anybody out there that's listening or watching this right now who wants to do something with their life, very passionate about whatever the case may be, but for some reason they're afraid of the trials and tribulation, the discouragement, the fear that comes into play with all of the things, big risks, big reward, whatever the case may be, what would you say to those people that are listening and watching right now?
More than likely, you have a hesitation or a fear because you feel like you're unprepared. But it's like once you take that first step and you try something and you fail at it, it will tell you and reveal itself, okay, well, you weren't prepared with your social media, or you weren't prepared with your clientele, or you weren't reaching the right audience because you started the work. So the hardest part is really just starting. And if you don't have, an idea of what to do, find someone who's doing something that you like and get a mentor, get somebody that can help you, guide you, because chances are whatever you're trying to do, someone is already doing it, but better. So, there's people out there in the world, like if you came to me and said, hey, Erica, I want to start a business. How can I do that? I said, okay, so what kind of business? And, you could talk to me and I can give you my time because someone did that for me. But the biggest thing is be committed because no one's going to come save you. The whole point is that you are on this journey. And if you are not ready to reveal things about yourself that you didn't realize were lacking because you're going to learn your strengths and weaknesses, it is a journey to self-discovery. So starting something and realizing that you're going to go through understanding what you're capable of and what you're not capable of, and then preparing yourself for what's to come next by learning, finding free resources, finding a mentor. Just start, and then Google will tell you the rest. Look it up, figure it out. Call your friend Erica, say, what do I do? I'll shoot you an email, and then you go take on the world.
Round of applause for Erica Soto. All right, so we're about to get into this final segment now, and it's now time for everybody's favorite segment. It is now this or that. If you've never seen the show before, what happened is I will ask my guests multiple choice questions here. There's no right or wrong answers, just what you like best.
That's what you say now to the court of... They'll say, oh, no, that's not it.
Yeah. But either way, let's just have some fun with it and just end things on a positive note, and for the audience to get to know you a little bit more.
I'm ready.
All right. So you're ready. Are you ready, Marv? All right, here we go.
Let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go for this or that. You, Miss Soto.
Yes.
Playlist or podcast?
Playlists.
Slides or Crocs?
Crocodilies all day.
Okay, all right. Beach or pool?
Beach.
Dogs or cats?
Neither.
Are you allergic?
No, I would say dogs, never cats.
Okay, all right. Fighting words there. Are you an early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
To give or to receive?
To give.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Somewhere in the middle.
Ambivert?
Ambivert for sure.
Okay. Batman or Superman?
Never. Spider-Man.
Express lane.
Express lane?
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Okay. Iron Man or Captain America?
Captain America.
Okay. Deadpool or Wolverine?
Ooh, Wolverine, honey.
Okay. Are you glass half empty or glass half full?
Glass half full.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
Be embarrassed.
Okay. Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
Too cold.
Would you rather do dishes or laundry?
Laundry.
Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Aisle seat.
Same. Are you more book smart or street smart?
Book smart.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Writing.
Would you rather speak every language or play every instrument?
Ooh, play every instrument.
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Same. Dancing or karaoke?
Ooh. Oh, dancing.
Okay. Do you enjoy more drama or comedy?
Comedy.
Do you prefer the movie theater or streaming service?
Movie theater.
Ice water or room temperature?
Ice water.
And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
I do everything better myself.
Solo project.
Solo
All right,
project.
solo for Dolo. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this and that. And that is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you to my guest, Erica Soto, for coming through. Where can they find you on social media, real quick?
Sure, you can find me on Instagram because, I'm that millennial mom that's only on Instagram. So enjoy Erica Art Studio. And, you can hit me up on my website, too. If you want to book an event, you can just DM me, say what you want to do, and we'll make it happen.
All right. And is there any shout-outs you want to give to anybody out there who's listening or watching?
Oh, shout outs to my family who's home letting me come out on a school night. Thanks for letting me come out, guys. My little choo-choo bear, my son Victor. But yeah, shout outs to them. Shout outs to my familia. Without a good support system, you can't go anywhere. So,
Amen.
Without them, I wouldn't be where I am.
Amen. All right. Well, Erica, thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate it. And,
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This is great. And I'm so excited that I'm the second live episode. I feel so special, because I come from Westchester. You know how to treat a lady,
Moving up in the world.
Yes.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode. And you can find me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique and at First Class Second Place on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week. This has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We out.